Kids!
Paul is shipwrecked. After many journeys and spreading the gospel of the kingdom and Jesus who was raised from the dead, Paul was making his last journey to Rome. But he was a prisoner, being taken to see the ruler of Rome called Caesar. As a prisoner, Paul was bound and on his way to Rome. It is believed that Luke wrote the book of Acts, travelled with Paul, and shared in his amazing journey. In Rome, Paul was to face trial before Caesar. They started in Caesarea and travelled across the Mediterranean Sea towards Rome. Winter with its storms were approaching. The ship struggled through winds of poor sailing conditions to slowly get to Fairhaven. Considerable time had passed, and the voyage was now dangerous. Paul urged them to postpone the trip because he feared the ship would be in terrible danger. They refused to listen to Paul and set sail. Not long after, a violent wind caused them to start losing control of the ship. On the third day of the storm, they threw a cargo overboard, hoping to keep the ship afloat. Neither sun nor stars appeared for many days. One night, during the storm, an angel of God appeared to Paul. The angel told Paul he would safely get to Rome and all the men on the ship would survive. The bad news was that the ship would be totally wrecked. During the storm, Paul encouraged the men on the ship by telling them of his visit by an angel. He encouraged them to eat and not give up. Paul also encouraged them by telling them about the Lord Jesus Christ. After 14 days of a violent storm, they surmised that they were approaching land. The ship struck a reef and was wrecked. The soldiers planned to kill the prisoners, including Paul, but the centurion stopped them. All the men on the ship either swam or used parts of the boat to safely get to the beach. This was not the first time that Paul was shipwrecked. Paul was used to suffering as he continued to share the gospel. The people of Malta greeted the shipwrecked crew with a warm fire and food. Paul helped to gather wood for the fire. Suddenly, a snake attacked Paul and bit him on his hand, but God prevented its poison from hurting him. The people of Malta were impressed with the power of Paul's God to heal. Paul was invited to meet with the chief man of the island called Publius. Publius invited Paul and Luke to stay in his home for 3 days. Paul met Publius's father, who was gravely ill. By the power of God, Paul healed him, and all were amazed. Soon many who were sick on the island came to Paul for healing and to hear the gospel. Paul and Luke continued their trip to Rome. Paul waited many years for his trial before Caesar. He was a prisoner, but more importantly, he was a witness for his Lord. Even Caesar's household heard the gospel through Paul.